Welcome to KGN Caribbean News. I'm Carisha Graham. Here's what's making headlines in this week's Caribbean Crime Watch. A major drug bust at Antigua's Deep Water Harbour. Officers uncovered nearly 8 pounds of cannabis hidden inside a barrel. Authorities say the vacuum-sealed packages could fetch tens of thousands on the street. A 35-year-old woman is now in custody as investigators dig deeper into what they call an ongoing trafficking operation. This comes just days after a separate raid at the same port turned up more drugs, including contraband stashed in rum bottles. A 32-year-old man was gunned down while out late in Nassau, Bahamas, sending shockwaves through the West Street community. Police say the father of two had stepped out to fetch water when shots rang out. Detectives are still searching for clues and asking anyone who saw or heard anything to speak up. This latest killing brings the country's homicide count to 49 for the year. Two teens and a middle-aged man have been formally charged in connection with a deadly attack that left a 21-year-old Barbadian dead last month. The trio, including a 17-year-old from Halls Road and an 18-year-old from Waterford, were escorted into court to face multiple serious charges, from murder to robbery and firearm offenses. A third suspect, a 43-year-old from St. Philip, was also remanded. All three are being held while investigators continue to build the case around the deadly incident, which took place back in June. A St. David community is grieving after a 27-year-old man was fatally stabbed during what police believe was a personal dispute turned deadly. Investigators say Kimani Philip was stabbed multiple times in Rose last month. He collapsed shortly after the attack and died at the hospital. Last week, 22-year-old Calvin Antoine turned himself in and has been formally charged with non-capital murder. He is now behind bars awaiting a court hearing later this month. A St. Catherine father will spend more than 3 decades behind bars after pleading guilty to a string of disturbing sexual offenses involving his own daughter and stepdaughter. The man admitted to multiple charges, including rape, trafficking, and child pornography, in a case that has shocked even seasoned investigators. Now, police are searching for a second suspect known only as Sean or King, who they believed helped facilitate the abuse. Authorities are urging the public to come forward with any information that could help track him down. An 80-year-old blind man is recovering after two bandits broke into his home and robbed him while he lay in bed. The intruders demanded cash and threatened to kill him if he didn't cooperate. Despite being unarmed and visually impaired, the elderly man was yanked from his bed as the robbers ransacked the room. They took off with cash and disappeared into the night. Now his family is calling on neighbors to speak up if they saw anything. An update in the case of 15-year-old Janalika Romney. A 16-year-old St. Kitts man is now facing a murder charge in her death. She was reported missing in mid-June and her body was found days later. A postmortem confirmed she died from multiple stab wounds. Pringle was first charged with kidnapping, but those charges were upgraded following the autopsy. Authorities say the investigation is far from over as they work to piece together what led to her tragic death. A massive drug bust in St. Lucia has uncovered a shocking connection with both a port police officer and an NGO volunteer now in custody. Authorities say the two were caught in separate operations attempting to move more than 40 kilos of suspected cannabis, valued at over 1.5 million Eastern Caribbean dollars. One suspect was caught at the airport cargo shed, the other at a seaport where officers found cannabis resin concealed inside sealed cans. Police say the drugs were likely part of a wider trafficking ring and warn that criminals are now using community affiliations and public service jobs to move contraband under the radar. And today's newscast is powered by Luxury Glam Onsley. So if you want your makeup, your hair, brows, or lashes on point, whether you're stepping out bold, bridal ready, or straight up boss babe vibes, Little One, the owner of Luxury Glam Onsley, got you covered. Trust me, this is where the glam magic happens. Hit up the number on your screen to book your glow up or catch all the info on Instagram on your screen. Let's check the political heartbeat of the Caribbean in this week's Politics Pulse. The United Kingdom has a new High Commissioner to Grenada, and he is now officially on the job. Simon Mustard met with Prime Minister Dickon Mitchell last week to hand over his official papers, a formal step that has made him Grenada's new top diplomat for the UK. Mustard says he's ready to work on big issues like climate change, job growth, and infrastructure, starting with a visit to a water project funded by Britain in St. George's. Jamaica's Prime Minister is calling for a return to respect, saying communities can't thrive if people no longer trust their local leaders. Speaking at the swearing-in ceremony for Hanover's new customs, Lennox Anderson Jackson, Prime Minister Holiness, said too many people have lost faith in figures like JPS, teachers, and even parents. He believes that breakdown has given crime room to grow, but says rebuilding respect can help restore order. Holiness also praised Hanover for a nearly 70% drop in crime this year, pointing out to strong community partnership as a big reason for the improvement. Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister says her government had no choice but to act after police uncovered a serious threat linked to criminal gangs and prison inmates. The state of emergency came into effect last week, giving law enforcement more power to respond quickly, including making arrests without warrants. The Prime Minister says protecting citizens comes first and that the move is meant to prevent violence before it happens. Even without a curfew, the decision marks a major escalation and comes just months after the last emergency order was lifted. Taiwan's ambassador to St. Kitts and Nevis is officially saying farewell after more than 7 years of service. Michael Lin called his time in the Federation on the most meaningful of his diplomatic career, highlighting partnerships in health, education, and infrastructure. He thanked the people for their trust and said he's leaving as a friend, not a stranger. The farewell marks the end of an era in Taiwan. St. Kitts' relationships with strong ties continued, with strong ties expected to continue. 6 political parties have been cleared to run in Guyana's upcoming general elections. The nomination lists were approved ahead of the September 1st polls, marking a key step in the lead up to the vote. Parties contesting including the ruling PPC, the main opposition APNU, and the Alliance for Change, alongside smaller groups like WIN. Forward Guyana and the ALP, most parties will appear on ballots in all 10 regions, but some will contest fewer areas. Politics isn't just for politicians, it affects everyone. Keep watching KGN for the latest events as it unfolds across the region. Governments are ramping up healthcare initiatives addressing gaps in prevention, infrastructure, and readiness as new challenges emerge. Antigua and Barbuda is gearing up to launch universal health coverage by early 2026. Capital program will target residents without insurance, bringing them into a national system backed by the medical benefit scheme. Government leaders say the plan will expand access, reduce out-of-pocket costs, and ensure no one is left behind. funding options and rollout details are still being finalized. Health officials in the Bahamas are raising the alarm over a sharp rise in HIV and other sexual transmitted infections. The latest figures show a troubling increase, prompting renewed calls for testing, education, and prevention. Leaders in the health sector say more people are being diagnosed at later stages, putting their health at serious risk and increasing the chances of further spread. In response, the government is ramping up outreach, urging residents to get tested and take steps to protect themselves. Barbados is taking a major step forward in cancer care. Starting this September, the Queen Elizabeth Hospital will begin offering public radiotherapy for the first time. A new high-tech accelerator is set to be installed next month, allowing doctors to treat cancer with greater spread and precision. Hospital leaders say the delay was due to safety upgrades, not neglect, and now the facility is nearly ready. For the patients who have had to travel overseas for expensive treatment, it's a long awaited moment and a major breakthrough in local health care. Health officials in Grenada are warning about the dangers of reusing cooking oil, linking the practice to several types of cancer. The Food and Nutrition Council says heating oil over and over releases harmful chemicals that can damage the body over time. Even inhaling the fumes in poorly ventilated kitchens may pose a risk. Experts are urging cooks and food vendors to stop topping up old oil and switch into safer methods like baking or grilling. The message is simple: protecting your health starts with how you cook. Dozens of St. Lucians with disabilities are getting a boost in mobility thanks to a generous donation from Taiwan. More than 350 pieces of equipment, including wheelchairs, walkers, and canes, were officially handed over to local health officials last week. It's the first time the Department for Persons with Disability has received a donation of this scale. Leaders say the equipment will meet urgent needs and help people live more independently. The gesture marks the third straight year of support from Taiwan and a growing partnership focused on care, dignity, and accessibility. Farmers in St. Kitts and Nevis got more than fresh air last week. They got free health checks. Ministries of Health and Agriculture teamed up to offer blood pressure and sugar screenings, along with tips on safety, pesticide use, and proper nutrition. It's part of a push to bring care directly to those in the fields and help farmers stay strong while feeding the nation. Trinidad and Tobago's Ministry of Health is addressing a recent shortage of insulin, a medication critical for many people living with diabetes. The shortage began in early June and led to a full stock out by the end of the month. Health officials say it was caused by global production delays and that held up distribution. This segment of KGN Caribbean News is sponsored by Bellam Natural Skincare, a real Jamaican brand born from the founder's own skin struggles. If you're tired of dark spots, dry patches, or uneven skin tone, these handmade soaps could be your new best friend. They've got some killer combos like kojic acid with vitamin C, turmeric and sea moss, honey, and oats, all natural, all effective. Plus, they ship all across Jamaica, and here's the catch, they also ship internationally. So no matter where you are, you can get in on the glow. Order through the Instagram on your screen or WhatsApp the phone number, which is on your screen as well. Your skin, I go thank you. Take care of your skin, people. Here's what's happening in the Caribbean economy. Farming in Antigua and Barbuda is getting a high-tech upgrade. Drones are now being used to spray crops, monitor fields, and cut down on chemical waste, all part of a push for climate smart agriculture. The initiative is backed by the Global Environment Facility and the Department of Environment, targeting farms like Simmons Pepper Farm and the Rastafari Food for the Community. It's a blend of innovation and sustainability, helping local agriculture adapt to climate change while boosting food security. Bahamas Prime Minister Philip Davis is warning Caribbean nations to guard against what he calls digital colonialism. Speaking at a regional telecoms conference, Davis said relying too much heavily on foreign tech platforms and infrastructure puts the region's data identity and future at risk. He's calling for stronger investment in local digital systems, better regulation of global platforms, and a push to build Caribbean owned technology. Davis says the region must shape its own digital future or risk becoming users in a space they don't control. Barbados is expanding its electric bus fleet, but growing pains are affecting services. While nearly 90 electric buses are now in use, limited charging infrastructure and high demand have made it tough to consistently cover all routes. With priority given to school transportation, some public routes may face delays or reduced trips during peak hours. More buses and upgraded charging stations are expected in the coming months as the islands work toward a fully modern, greener public transit system. Grenada School for the Deaf now has a fully equipped assessment room built to better support students with hearing challenges. The space includes learning tools, sensory items, and diagnostic equipment to help teachers tailor support to each child's needs. Funded by the Sandals Foundation, it's a key move toward more inclusive education on the island. Starting today, residents in parts of Kingston and St. Andrew will face scheduled water restrictions as drought conditions worsen. The National Water Commission says reduced rainfall has left key reservoirs dangerously low, forcing supply cuts across several communities. Areas served by the Mona Hope and the Constant Spring networks will receive water on a staggered schedule, with some zones only getting access during limited morning or evening hours. Trinidad and Tobago's tourism sector may soon see brighter days. Hotel and Tourism Association President Reginald McLean says recent talks with government leaders could help jumpstart long-awaited improvements across the island's tourism landscape. While local weekend bookings remain steady, midweek travel still struggles, largely due to limited flight options. A new late evening domestic flight is expected to ease some of that pressure. 10 little graduates just marked a big milestone in St. Lucia. The Sanders Early Childhood Centre held its annual graduation ceremony celebrating the youngest learners as they head off to primary school. The program supports children of Sandals employees, offering early education that helps build confidence, teamwork, and school readiness from day one. St. Vincent and the Grenadines is stepping up its effort to protect water resources in the faces of climate change. A local team recently joined regional leaders in Grenada for a 2-day workshop focused on smarter, more sustainable water management. From tracking pollution to planning for droughts, the sessions helped countries share data and develop action plans. SVG is now working toward a national strategy that could shape how water is managed through 2030 and beyond. Welcome to the KGN Sports Zone, where island athletes shine. All Saints United is gearing up for regional competition heading to Trinidad for this year's CFU Club Shield. The Antigua Premier Division champs named a 21-man squad including top scorer Raheem Ditterville and several returning veterans. They'll face clubs from Barbados, Trinidad, Suriname, and more, fighting for a spot in the semi-finals and a shot at the CONCACAF Caribbean Cup. Yankees outfielder Jazz Chisholm Jr. made his home run derby debut, but it was a quick exit. The Bahamian star hit just 3 homers in the first round, the lowest of the night, and didn't advance. Despite the early exit, he kept the crowd entertained with his energy and smile. Chisholm has 17 home runs this season and says he's taken the experience in stride, hinting he'll be back stronger next time. Jamaica's national stadium is set for a major upgrade with help from the UK. The renovation starts in 2026 and includes a larger seating area, better facilities for athletes, and a sports museum. British firms are leading the design, marking a growing partnership between both countries. Officials say the new stadium will honor Jamaica's legacy while preparing for the future global events. Trinidad and Tobago's men's football team is dropping the Soca Warriors name. The Football Association couldn't get the rights to use it even after offering $1 million deal. Now fans are being asked to help come up with a new name just weeks before World Cup qualifiers begin. And now for our entertainment section. Vibes Cartel made a big return to the Reggae Sumfest stage, this time as the new king of dancehall. He was crowned by Spice, known as the Queen of Dancehall, in front of a packed crowd in Montego Bay. It was his first time performing at Sumfest in nearly 14 years, people. 14 years. Cartel performed hit after hit, closing out the night with a tribute to dancehall legends and a reminder that he's back on top. A major celebration of Caribbean music is coming to Brooklyn at the Barclays Center on Saturday, August 30th, bringing some of the biggest names in dancehall and reggae to one stage. From Capleton, Shensia, and even Alkaline and Elephant Man are just a few of the artists on the lineup, with a surprise headliner still under wraps. Now, my question is, who is this headliner? Comment below on this video and tell me who you guys think is the surprise headliner. Kes the Band is making global moves, this time on Netflix. Their hit song Love It is featured in Tyler Perry's new film Medea's Destination Wedding. The Trinidadian group adds a Caribbean vibe to the movie's soundtrack, which blends reggae, soca, and R&B. It's another big moment for Kes, who continues to take Trini music to the world stage. Caribbean stars are showing up big in the new Smurfs movie. Rihanna voices Smurfette, bringing island flair to the beloved blue character in the animated film, and she's not the only one repping the region. Jamaican artist Shensia also makes her mark with one of her songs featured on the movie's soundtrack. It's a proud moment for Caribbean culture. Sean Paul is back with a brand new track, Ginger. The dancehall star brings his signature spice to the summer anthem just as he kicks off a US tour with rapper Wiz Khalifa. It follows a string of sold-out shows in Europe as Sean Paul keeps flying the flag for Caribbean music on the global stage. That's it for this week's edition of KGN Caribbean News. I'm Carisha Graham. See you next week right here where vibes meets truth and every island will eventually get the spotlight.